Well, this is Easter Saturday, and last night I had the great good fortune to be around for the Good Friday procession. And even though this is only a small town on the northern cereal plain, there were 5 or more massive floats carried by 6 or 8 people each, illustrating the Good Friday story through to crucifixion. And the whole town was on the streets at 9:30 in the evening. Kids too, of course. Here in Spain, the families participate in everything, in the cafes, in the bars and in the church. And it really made me think. The procession actually came down this narrow street, which was packed with people, both on the ground and on the balconies, and then it ended up here outside the town hall. I think that's the town hall. And I was having my calamaris and wine in that white corner cafe there. So I've just seen the sign. I nearly went the wrong way. I'll just show you this though. I wanted to show you, in this small town, there's this magical procession celebrating Good Friday. That's a very mournful 8 o'clock chime. That is a 12th century, I nearly said Roman, but that would be a bit out, wouldn't it? That's a 12th century carved stone facade with a judge in the middle, I'm told, and various Jobsworths on either side. Anyway, it came down this, and it made me aware of how important it is to the life of a small community, every small community, to have their rituals, whether it be Semana Santa, Holy Week and the procession, or a football match, I suppose. Honestly, it has the same cohesion, the same bonding capacity, seems to me. Whilst I'm talking, I might have gone the wrong way. This sounds about right for me, because I've followed the sign here to the right and the others have gone the other way. I'll see when I get to the top if there's another sign. Oh no, here we are. So even if you are a non-believer, non-Christian, even if you have grown up 100% secular, as Alain de Botton would say, there are benefits in secular religion, by which he means gathering together for rituals such as this procession yesterday. It seems to meet a human need for community, togetherness, if you like. A writer was asked what is his formula for happiness, and he said, meaningful work, meaningful relationships and meaningful involvement with your local community. And we seem to have lost that engagement with communal ritual in our very secular British society now. So it goes. Lovely stone bridge, not that old by the looks, but over this river, leaving this town. This next stage is just over 17 kilometers, and it's actually, this is the Rio Carrion, as made famous in the Carrion films. This next stage of 17 and a bit kilometers is actually the longest stretch on the whole Camino, or at least the Camino Frances. Without a stop. So with my breakfast I also bought a very nice chunk of homemade tortilla and some extra water, and it seems somehow significant to me that on this Easter Saturday, limbo land, if you like, between the cross and the empty tomb, there is the challenge of a walk, the longest solo walk of the whole, well, about 800 kilometers of the Camino, of which I've done about 400 now. So let's see how it goes. This sign is really quite encouraging. It is the first road sign I have seen to Lyon, which is 80 kilometers in this direction, and so destination is within reach or within foot. Here we go. You'll notice how well laid out the Camino path is for walkers and cyclists, and this is a properly prepared surface. But look, unsuppressible grass, or probably a cereal, because this field will have been seeded with cereal, and seed has found its way here, and it's grown through. Amazing, despite lots of pairs of boots also. So it's not only come through, but it survived. And last night in the cafe before the procession, with my calamaris and wine, I was reading Marshall Davis's little book, The Non-Dual Gospel of Jesus Christ. Seemed appropriate on Good Friday, and it's very true to the sources, which in his case includes the Gospels, or the Synoptic Gospels as we call them, those that passed muster to the sort of church panel. They must have held a sort of X factor for religious, or for early Christian scripts, Gospels, of which there were many. We think there are only 4, but they're the ones that got through. There were dozens of them, including the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, the Gospel of Thomas, and the Gospels of Tom, Dick and Harry. And he uses other sources also from the Dead Sea Scrolls. And one of the things that Jesus said that has stuck in my mind just looking at that grass protruding or cereal protruding from the path ahead is, well, it reminded me how quickly, after some man-made disaster like Chernobyl, nature reclaims man's best efforts after a few decades, maybe only 30, 40 years before Chernobyl or somewhere similar, if left alone, reverts to, I'll say, pristine nature. And Jesus warns very specifically and chillingly, I thought, about the end times. I'm not quite sure. The disciples were pressing him on when this kingdom will come, and he emphasized time and time again, don't look for signs, don't say it's here, don't say it's there. He says the kingdom of God is within you. The kingdom of God is not a place other than this. The kingdom of God is excuse me, shall we say, a fresh way of looking at what is. That is the kingdom, the oneness. There's a lovely snail expressing his or her, are snails gendered? His or her oneness. So it's seeing with a fresh pair of eyes, not a different place or a different time. But he did warn that there will be trouble ahead. And he goes as far as to say that the land will be laid waste. Woe to you, I think he says, nursing mothers who are caught out in the open at these times. Well, you know what I thought straight away with the tension going on in Ukraine at the moment. Well, more than tension, you understand, is the threat of nuclear apocalypse is the only word for it. And Jesus' words really sent a bit of a shiver through me, and I can't help feeling I'm personally in a safer space in the middle of northern Spain at the moment, should things hot up. But that's a very myopic point of view, isn't it? I cannot imagine. Well, of course you try and you can. The problem is you can imagine what it might be like on the receiving end of an invading army. Goodness me, never thought we would see it in Europe again. Certainly not in my lifetime, if ever. Maybe as Good Saturday, well, it's not Good Saturday, Easter Saturday is in between death and resurrection. Who knows where we are at in the history of our civilization. As a footnote to that, a cheery thought, on Doomsday. You might call me over dramatic, but it has crossed my mind. I've worked out where the nearest big city is, which is Madrid, really, which is in that direction, left or south of here. We're travelling west, so Madrid is just about due south of here, about 400 kilometres away, and that's where the plume would be. No, that's not the right expression, is it, for a bomb? The mushroom cloud would be. Just saying. One of the things I find myself doing, particularly perhaps on these longer flat stretches, of course your mind continually throws up thoughts from nowhere. You just try and stop them, and if you're not careful, they can both elevate you but also depress you. That's one of the aspects of the Camino. You stretch your own chewing gum, so to speak, at both ends. It's like proving the dough, kneading the dough. And one of the things that I do sometimes, which I've just been doing, is sing a little song to the rhythm of your footsteps. Here's one of them. Bless thou the Lord, O my soul. Bless thou the Lord, O my soul. Bless thou the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. And now you can recount to yourself all your benefits. In other words, count your blessings. At the start of each day, after I've had my coffee, of course, I find myself quite naturally thanking, first of all, my feet, who've been very kind to me. They really are in good shape after 4 days, 80 kilometres or so. And then each part of my body, legs, knees, hips. I've got a slight issue with my lower left sacroiliac, so I'm very ginger, very kind to myself in that department, but no other aches and pains, thank heavens. And then I give thanks to my back and my shoulders for carrying the mochila, the backpack, like a snail with my house on my back. And then I give thanks for my internal organs, which, bless them, keep me going in complete darkness. So I say thank you, heart. Another day, another X thousand beats. Thank you, lungs. Thank you. And then I do an organ recital. Liver, spleen, estomaca, bowels, all in good working order. And then, of course, you come to the head, and where we moderns take our personhood to be, in the brain. I would encourage you to re-examine that idea. In let's say medieval times, that's a good coverall, isn't it? In medieval times, the locus of the personhood, if I understand it correctly, what do I know, is not in the head but in the heart. And of course we Enlightenment children By that I mean the Enlightenment of the 17th century onwards, let's say from Galileo onwards anyway. Oh, we're so rational, how everything's under the microscope or the telescope or the fMRI scanner, and don't we think we're so clever? and one day soon the materialist scientists are going to be able to pin the tail on the donkey of consciousness. They tell us they tell us they've got no idea at the moment. Honestly, absolutely no idea how grey, sticky brain organic matter can create not just thoughts but the emotions of the sheer joy of this Easter Saturday morning. What a delight. Not just synapses firing. Now here's a little philosophical discursion on the way after stopping off at Javier from Barcelona, and he pulled up his van, his sort of camper van. Actually, it was one of those sort of industrial, if that's the right word, refrigerator type vans, which he sleeps in, lives in. He's from Barcelona, and he's offering refrescos for the peregrinos, refreshments for the pilgrims by the side of the Camino. This is the longest and hottest stretch, so I think it's a brilliant idea. And he was reading, in Spanish of course, the book of now I'll just have to remember. Enoch. He was reading the book of Enoch. So we chatted a little bit about apocryphal books of the Bible and apocryphal Gospels of Jesus that never made it into the X Factor final with the all-boy band Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. But there were many others, you know. There was Thomas. He was a narrow loser to what's called the Synoptic Gospels. Well, he didn't make the final cut, nor did the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. You can check that one out. The role of women in the Gospels really should be completely rewritten, in my opinion. I think Mary was a wealthy woman, and she was referred to as, I think, the disciple to the disciples. How lovely. Anyway, Javier and I had a nice little chat, but after coffee and a biscuit, I also took a beautifully sweet Naranja orange. And before I eat the last segment, which is delicious, I just want to explore a sort of philosophical idea, but it's the philosophy of mind. And where does our sense of taste, in this case the taste of orange, come from? Is it, of course you might say, well, it's an inherent or an essential aspect of the orange. It just is orange. It tastes of orange, but it doesn't know it tastes of orange. Just like the Polydopsis muniopsis blind white crab in the lake of Hamios del Agua, one of Cesar Manrique's creations on Lanzarote, doesn't know it's blind, and therefore it doesn't know it's white. We do, and we know that this orange tastes delicious, as it does. But according to Italian philosopher of mind, Manzotti, we may simply be sharing not an extended mind, it's not a extended mind. Extended mind is like when you, soon the mobile phone will be physically grafted in, and that's an extended mind. According to Manzotti's spread mind theory, mind is a process. It takes two to tango, or salsa, or whatever your favourite dance is. So it's all about process. Life is process. We, in non-duality of a separate little me, the subject, and you, the object, or me, the subject, and the orange being the object, they're separate. And you put them under a microscope to see what they're made of, but you tend to ignore the interrelationship, the interaction between them. And as we all know now, from John Craven's news round even, everything is interconnected. This is the nature of quantum entanglement. But that's part of it anyway. And so life is all about process, including mind, and process is a sort of dance. So Manzotti's idea is that it's only when we enter into, join the dance of interacting in process with the orange, that its colour and taste becomes available to us. Now, that doesn't make much sense if, as like all materialists, you consider everything in this world as nothing more than Newtonian billiard balls or snooker balls bouncing off one another. It makes very little sense at all. But if it's a dance and it's a process, and it takes and it collapses the if you like, the difference between object and subject, that makes more sense to me. Because if everything is being, unfolding, in a way, it's just, let's put it this way, it's universal mind experiencing universal mind. Orange, bird, Phil. Why not? Prove to me otherwise. I mean, seriously, this sense of you being a separate, independent, sensing being, is it really bounded by your mind, or if you take your mind to be the firing of synapses in your brain, is really that what you are? Maybe instead we have a shared mind with everything that is. And if we are being rather than separate little me's, that makes perfect sense to me. Buon approvecho. Lovely.